Hi guys, how are you all today morning? Good morning. Today is 27th June 2023. My name is TSV Raghavan and I live in Chennai, Tamil Nadu, India. This is my spiritual vlog, Haribol TRSV nectar, NECTAR, nectar. In this particular vlog, in all our previous videos, we have been discussing about the knowledge and information that we have gleaned through the study of spiritual books, scriptures, contemplation on the material universe, and meditation on the spiritual universe. This particular video is no exception to that rule. It is, in fact, a mere continuation of what we are doing in the past few videos of this blog. Hence, kindly subscribe to this vlog and press the bell icon so that I may keep reminding you of all my other videos. So let us begin with the topic of today. We have been discussing about the types of karma and case history to thrash out this topic of karma in detail. By now, we know that the storage of karma in the psyche of every human living entity is called Sanchit karma. Every human living entity takes out a slice of this Sanchit karma to be lived and worked out in a particular birth. This slice is called Prarabdha karma. However, in a particular birth, this human living entity is given an opportunity to apply his or her free will to do some action on his or her own. This is known as Kriyamana karma, and the residue of the prarabdha karma he or she was born with, plus the residue of the kriyamana karma of this particular birth, when it remains unworked even at the end, is joined as agami karma and pasted to the original sanchit karma to be used while taking out a slice for another birth. This has been going on time and again, birth after birth, death after death. Today, we shall talk about one very important case history which will explain this theory of karma far, far better. Now, let us begin. There was one young man called Chand Sobhraj who came with a prarabdha karma or slice of karma to be worked out in this particular birth. Little this boy, when he was born, could know directly or indirectly that his prarabdha karma and his kriyamana karma will take him through a very crisscrossed and star-crossed journey in life. When this guy was young or even as a toddler, he relocated to a place called Pune in Maharashtra, India. Now, he was basically a Sindhi from the Sindh province, whereas his Prarabdha Karma took him to Pune, Maharashtra, India. There he was probably brought up and he became an expert tailor and a draper by profession. He was probably quite good at it. Now, Sindh, the community which lives in Sindh is called the Sindhi community. This community is very intelligent, qualified, with a keen business acumen and very enterprising nature. Mr. Hotchand Sobhraj was no exception. Hence, from Pune, he relocated to a place called Vietnam in Southeast Asia. Till now, his Prarabdha Karma had the front seat in his vehicle of life. But from here, the Kriyamana Karma probably took over and Prarabdha Karma took a back seat. This Mr. Hochand Sobhraj or Hochand Sobhraj, who was a tailor and a Sindhi with a keen business acumen, started his own shop as a tailor in Saigon, Vietnam. This guy was so intelligent and lucky that he succeeded and began making money hand over fist or over fist. Thus, he started a string of shops in tailoring in Saigon. At that time, he met a girl called Noi, a Vietnamese who came to work in his business. This Mr. Ho Chand Sobhraj fell in love with the beautiful Noi and married her. All this is not just prarabdha karma, though it may be laced with it, but several things in this man's life in Vietnam was kriyamana karma. On 6th April 1944, a son was born to them. He was christened Charles Sobhraj or Charles Hochand Sobhraj. Now we see how the Prarabdha and Kriyamana Karma works. It was the year 1944, which was the Second World War period. Vietnam was hot with strifes, wars, rebellions, rumors, politics, gossip, and every other thing that would put the poor public in turmoil. It was in this turmoil that Charles Sobhraj or Charles Hochand Sobhraj was born. This shows the prarabdha karma of this little boy. When this boy was around 3 or 4, his mother and father separated. His mother married a French soldier, and they all, including Charles and his younger sister Nicole, relocated to France, while Hochen Sobhraj remained in Vietnam. This made Charles Sobhraj rebellious. Probably this was Prarabdha Karma. This boy had come in this world, in this birth, with a Prarabdha Karma which would keep tossing him into turmoil time and again. This was not his Kriyamana Karma till he reached the age of 12. From the age of 12, he became very rebellious and criminal minded. His French stepfather was being transferred to several places in Africa and France, but everywhere that they went, Charles indulged in illegal activities. This was certainly his Kriyamana karma. Charles was also extremely intelligent and business minded like his illustrious father. But this guy was a combination of Sindhi and Vietnamese blood. While Sindhis are extremely business oriented and successful, Vietnamese are known for violence and gambling. Both qualities came into Charles Sobhraj. He became as daring and violent as a Vietnamese, began taking several gambles, including a gamble on his own life, but was a very good marketing and sales guy like his father. His father saw the son was stunned at this transformation of the boy and chose to disown him. The father was very unhappy that while the son was a very good salesman, he was also extremely bloodthirsty, cruel, and gambling oriented. From the age of 18, Charles Sobhraj's Kriyaman Karma took over completely. He was arrested for the first time, tried, and put behind bars in France. Now, this Charles himself says that he had a very star-crossed destiny. He wanted to do good, but something within him prevented him from doing good and dragged him towards evil. According to Zarathustra of the Parsi religion, a person is sometimes a knot of savage serpents. This knot of savage serpents is full of several venomous serpents which are going in different directions. These, when left alone, try to conquer the world. Charles Sobhraj was compared to this knot of serpents. He had a combination of extreme intelligence, capacity to make money, capacity to be cruel and bloodthirsty, gamble away his hard earned or criminal earnings, and the capacity as a psychiatrist to influence other people. Charles Sobhraj used his talents in a negative way to the hilt. As a result of this, he was wanted in at least a half a dozen countries for criminal activities including theft, forgery, robbery, kidnapping, and murder. Charles' Kàrma was such that he had to spend several years in prison in France, India, Pakistan, Afghanistan, and Nepal. Almost 50% of his life was spent behind bars. He is still alive and has a lot of money with him, yet he is banned from several countries and is considered a persona non grata in several countries just because his stepfather was a Frenchman and his family had settled down in France for good. This criminal is considered a French national, and hence the French government is forced to accept him as their resident whenever he chooses to come to them as a free person. He is disowned by India, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Nepal, and other countries where he feels that he may either be imprisoned or executed because of his extreme and incorrigible criminal activities. This case history is quite educative and enlightening to a spiritual student. First, we will talk about Mr. Hochand Sobhraj. Probably this man could never have dreamt that such a nice person like him would be responsible for giving a monster to this world. This monster who happened to be his own son. So is the case with Charles Sobhraj's mother, who was a nice, beautiful girl from Vietnam and who probably wanted to settle down to a decent life. She did this in parts by marrying another Frenchman and settling down in France. But she would have regretted every second of her life that she had to give birth to a monster like Charles Sobhraj. Similarly, as the prarabdha karma of Hochan Chopra and Noi were in this fashion, the prarabdha karma of Charles Chopra charted his destination right from the beginning. He was born during the war period in the strife torn country of Vietnam to an Indian father or a Pakistani father and a Vietnamese mother. This decided on his fate right from the beginning. So we need not call this Charles' fault because he, though must have done something in his past, was not to be blamed for his birth in this particular lifetime. However, despite all these hurdles from his prarabdha karma, if this boy had chosen a positive thinking attitude, he could have come out in leaps and bounds because of his extraordinary and multifarious talents. Either he could have become a successful businessman like his father or a very good soldier like his Vietnamese mother. He chose neither of these and instead twisted a rope with his father's talent and his mother's gambling attitude in such a way that it made him into a demon. This demon, despite its talents, has lost all its self respect. He is still alive and wants to write books on his life story. Several books have been written on Charles Sobhraj, and several movies and web series have been made on him, but to no avail. He has always been portrayed as either a villain or an anti hero, not as a hero, not as a person who wanted to do good to this society. He contributed only evil to this already suffering humanity and society. This is a disgrace to both his father and his mother. We cannot blame Prarabdha Karma for this. This was Kriyamana Karma of Charles Sobhraj. His prarabdha karma was already laced with several negative forces, but thanks to his kriyamana karma, it further colored his karma in the sanchit category to such an extent that probably before birth he was just a small crook, but now he is a mass murderer and his prarabdha karma or slice of karma from his future karma, sanchit karma, will make him a complete demon in his next birth. We must take a leaf out of the life of Charles Sobhraj. Despite our prarabdha karma, which is not exactly our fault, we are allowed to use our free will to do such deeds which dilute our prarabdha karma's negative forces and make it more and more positive day by day in such a way that if we have some contribution to our Sanchit Karma at the end of our lifetime, our next slice of Prarabdha Karma in our next birth must be far better than what it was in this birth. We must have a very good either material or spiritual life. Spiritual is the best, but material can be tolerated if it is positive. A positive, materially oriented person will sooner or later, if he or she uses his or her kriyamana karma positively even in one birth will only become more and more good, humble, noble, and probably spiritual. That should be the aim of every human being. We should design our Kriyamana Karma birth after birth in such a way that we become self realized, then liberated from this repeated cycle of births and deaths, and finally get delivered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We must remember that all the nice people, saints, monks, rishis, maharishis, godmen, etc., who have done human service to this society were also normal human beings like us with all our flaws. For example, Ramana Maharshi of India was in his childhood a very playful and quarrelsome boy who created a lot of problems to his elder brother and mother because of his continuous fights with other children. Then he used his own Kriyamana karma to become a monk. Similarly, Soham Swami, also known as Tiger Swami, used to fight with live tigers to make money in a showman program. Such programs he did often and made a lot of money. But suddenly he turned and became a monk when his Kriyamana karma made him do it. Probably his prarabdha karma may have helped him do this, but the fact remains that such an ordinary person with fighting attitude became person who fought the beast within his own psyche. So is the case with people like Swami Vivekananda, who was so mischievous that his mother wailed, I wanted Lord Shiva to give me a son. He sent one of his Aghoris to me, and Aghoris are known for their rough attitude. There are several such cases. We should avoid being like that. We may have had several flaws when we were not intelligent or wise, but once we become spiritually inclined, we should see that our free will and our Kriya Mana Karma is decidedly spiritual and positive, so that we get a different birth or a better birth in our next lifetime, at least, or at most become liberated. This is what I wanted to convey in my theory for today. I may not be successful in doing what I wanted to say, but I hope that the intelligent viewer will be able to see through my talks and decide accordingly. Please give me your expert opinions, thoughts, ideas, and views so that I may blend everything together for the sake of this society. Before concluding, let me remind you that I am also a published author with Amazon Kindle and paperback. I write on spiritualism, fiction, and assorted subjects. Spiritualism happens to be my favorite subject. Till we meet in my next video, it is good morning from TSV Raghavan.